Hello and welcome back to the podcast. It is our final episode of season 1 of the podcast, and we want to thank you guys so much for supporting us from the first episode, or if you're new and today is the first time you are listening or watching, we appreciate you too. And to show that, we're actually starting this episode with a quick little giveaway announcement. We are going to be giving away 10 of the Just A Little Shady podcast hats that just dropped as part of our merch drop that you can go to justalittleshadypodcast.com and check out everything that was available. But for now, we are giving away 10 hats to thank everyone for a great season 1. And also, we're going to be giving away 5 matching sweatsuit sets from the drop. So if you want to be entered in that giveaway, make sure you're following us on Instagram and here, so you're subscribed. And also comment on this video and on our last Instagram post, and you'll be entered to win that giveaway.
Yay.
Also, we figured this episode, we wanted to do something a little different, kind of recap, talk about what we're going to do during this little break. We're planning to come back around the end of summer. A little bit before the end of summer.
Yeah, towards the end of summer.
So we have a very special idea to come back. So make sure you stay tuned to see what our comeback episode is going to be.
You can comment with your guesses.
Yeah, comment with your guesses. But in the meantime, honestly, it's going to be a lot of free time without the podcast. However,
honestly, a lot of free time.
I believe I may or may not be starting a regular schmegular YouTube channel.
You don't say.
Finally. So make sure you look out for that in the meantime as well. But until then, we will be coming up with good ideas for next season of the podcast and listening to what you guys want to hear on the next season of the podcast.
So if you have any ideas or topics you want us to cover in season 2, guests you want to see, comment that. And also, we're playing a game for this episode, kind of giving our opinions and recapping this season. So you can also feel free to respond to any of the questions we ask each other here today in the comments with your own responses. I love this.
So we're starting off strong with some truth or drink. If we don't want to answer, we have to take a sip of our lovely homemade margaritas.
A Haley special, if you will.
Exactly. Oh, I just spilled mine.
That's okay.
I got to be honest. We went to a little pregame dinner before this.
We did, and we may or may not have.
I think you just answered your own question. We may have had a marg or two there while planning this episode.
And we may or may not have vlogged the situation.
That's very true. If you want to see the making of this final episode, we did a vlog of the process on our Patreon. So if you want to join that, you will see the vlog of this, the making of this.
I love it. And let's go ahead and get started with truth or drink.
All right.
Question number 1. I don't know if I should set myself to numbering each of these. So first question.
As you do it again.
Dang it. What episode was your favorite?
I'm going to start off strong with the drink here because I feel like.
You feel like?
If I answer that, perhaps say it was a guest episode, that could be offensive to my other guests.
So it was a guest episode?
I guess we'll find out.
Interesting.
That's why I drank. What about you?
For me, I am going to say any of the bonus content episodes because I feel like we have such a tight-knit community within the Patreon and the bonus content that, when we do the podcast, it's like we're talking with friends. Clearly, I'm an open book here to the surprise of nobody. But just something about when we transition into doing the bonus content.
It's like a sigh of
extra.
We can say whatever because they expect us to be a little
more
informal.
Informal. We're more chill. We're more ourselves. So I think that I had a lot of fun doing those for the second half of the season.
Yeah, I agree. So no drink for you on that one.
Dang. Unfortunate. We'll get there. Question number 2. What podcast set was your favorite and why? And we did have a few.
Yeah, so we had, for those of you, if you haven't been following since the beginning, we had our original podcast set. We had our Lollapalooza travel set, which happened kind of quickly. Then we had our Halloween version of our set that we decorated. And now we have the studio set. But I feel like for me, the studio set is my favorite because it's just like the progress of the podcast.
The evolution.
The
growth.
Yes, this is where we are now.
So no drink for you.
No drink for me.
No drink for me either because my favorite was the Halloween set because it was the birth of Peter Evans.
True.
And without Peter Evans, who I hope to come back next fall, I just don't know where we'd be.
Yeah, I definitely agree that was a good one. I feel like I like every single one though, so it's really hard to choose on that one. I forgot
about the Lollapalooza set until you mentioned it.
And now
it was like episode 4 and we're at Lollapalooza.
Yeah, and we were just like, here's a new set, by the way. Yeah, that was fun. The travel set is fun. Okay. Third, truth or drink.
Truth or drink. Least favorite episode of season 1.
I'm not going to do that to myself.
Neither am I. I'm going to take my first sip of the marg, and I'm not mad about it. Delicious marg.
Ooh.
Per usual. Mm-hmm. So moving on forward to another juicy question.
No.
Who was your favorite guest on the podcast?
Okay,
aside from me.
You're a co-host, though. I can't answer this because the guests that we've had, if you haven't seen, or maybe you have, you know that it would be very incriminating and problematic in my personal life to choose here. We've had my fiance, Evan.
I forgot Evan was a guest.
My sister, Elena, and my uncle, Nate. So I would be in very big trouble with all of them if I did choose. So I'm going to take another drink.
I'm ahead of you. I already took a sip, and I stand by it.
No inklings?
No.
You would also be in pretty big trouble.
I would. I don't want to make anyone mad today. So pivoting from your favorite guest this season, then who would be your dream guest to have on the podcast? Dang it. I'm just thinking of mine.
Yours, I'm nervous to hear, but
I know.
I feel like I don't have one specific dream guest, but I think people involved in the music industry would be cool since we do like Lollapalooza, or we try to, and hopefully we do it again this year. But I think that would be cool. And we're also just very into finding new artists and getting to know about them. So I think that would be like my dream guest going forward.
I can't disagree there. However, there's one human that unexpectedly was talked about more than any other human.
Oh my gosh.
On this podcast, and no one saw it coming.
Everybody listening has got this one.
Mr. Tom Brady himself. I don't know what we'd ask him, but
like, I'm sorry, but can you imagine that man sitting on this pink couch with us?
I can't even see it. So like, maybe that's a bad thing. Maybe I'm not manifesting correctly, but like, what's he just going to sit right here next to me?
I mean, maybe. I feel like everybody listening thinks that should happen just because of the sheer amount that we have mentioned this man for really no good reason.
No, I feel like we need to have like a photo of him like somewhere to the set for season 2.
If he knew about this, what do you think he would think? Like, are they okay?
Probably. He would.
I wonder sometimes.
Because he obviously has zero clue that he is an honored member of this podcast.
Truly.
So, I don't know. It's him or Tom Holland, but, you know,
What do you mean? Why'd you just slip that in there?
Just because I said it earlier, and I feel like that's just the truth of the matter. Him and Zendaya, imagine having them both here.
I mean, that would just be insane.
Could you?
Hey, she's singing again.
Let's
put it out there.
We will put it to the universe. Honestly, I would take Zendaya over Tom Holland.
That's wild for you.
Imagine?
Do our listeners know that you have a huge celebrity crush on Tom Holland?
No, and it's wild that I hid that. I think I hid that for the whole season because all of, like, Brian knows, my whole friend group knows that I just really admire him.
Okay. Okay. It's getting to be too much now. Moving along to our next truth or drink.
Ooh, and this is kind of juicy too. What do you think was the shadiest thing that you've shared on this podcast? I know mine.
I'll drink while you say, because I don't think mine's shady, but I think just to me it is.
Okay, that's fair.
So I'll take a drink.
So as we alluded to earlier in this episode, I am quite the open book, and I frequently forget that this podcast is heard by many, many people on the internet. I just think it's us talking with our friends, truthfully. So I overshare.
No.
More times than not.
Sometimes you surprise me.
Sometimes
when you'll go on a tangent, I'm like, you really wanted to say that?
Sometimes, yeah, I'm cussing people out. Sometimes I'm just like calling people out almost too directly from my own personal life. Like, it's very apparent who I'm talking about when I'm talking about them.
Like, if they listen, it'd be like
they
100% no doubt.
So that was pretty shady all throughout the season, but I'm not going to stop that. There's no stopping that and no stopping me.
Love to hear it.
But I think it was like it was one of the first 10 episodes, and we were like, this person we know did this thing.
You just went off and you're like, this person we know did this and this and this. And I was like, wow, I hope this person doesn't hear about this.
Honestly, I don't mind if they know, because that is also where we got the phrase playa. I feel like that's when we started saying it.
Yeah, it was really the beginning of the season that we kind of got that going. But I feel like it's really not shady to anybody listening, but sharing stuff that I've shared just about my life and my childhood, to me, it's like
shady
because it's just like, no, I've never really talked about it before.
That's so true.
That's the shadiest thing I've shared on the podcast.
And we'll take it. Question number, these are labeled by letters, not numbers. So question number G, do with that what you will. What do you like most about having a podcast?
I feel like this one's kind of what we were talking about in the beginning, even with the Patreon and stuff. It's honestly just something that I've never really shared my personality on social media, and I feel like you didn't either. And it's kind of just a way to do that and connect with people that I haven't done before. I feel like that's my favorite part.
I did take notes on this, and I specifically said in my notes, talking and telling jokes, and I think that is pretty accurate to what I like most. But honestly,
you love being a comedian.
I love being like the comedic relief in situations. I don't know. I had an ex-boyfriend once told me that I'm not very funny. And then I think it was like my personal mission in life to be as hilarious as possible. I'll tell you later. And then I just got funnier as time went on, and I don't know, it's fun for me. And we get to have like little chats, like we get to spend like quality friendship time together. That's cool.
Aw, that's so nice of you.
Yeah, I guess.
Today's episode is brought to you by Athletic Greens. I've gone through many phases in my life where I struggled with finding a way to get in all the nutrition that we need on a daily basis while really trying to prioritize my health and wellness. If you relate to that, then you'll want to listen up, because taking AG1 by Athletic Greens every day solves that problem. AG1 was designed with ease in mind so you can live healthier and better without the hassle of having to do a lot. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted to find a nutritional drink that actually tastes good and is made of the highest quality whole food sourced ingredients at the same time. AG1 is packed with 75 vitamins and minerals, So I take 1 scoop of AG1 in the morning before starting my day, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something good for my body by adding in this simple step that takes less than a minute. It gives you increased energy and mood support, making it easy to live your best life. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/shady. That's athleticgreens.com/shady. Check it out, and thank you to Athletic Greens for sponsoring today's episode.
Next question, question H. Why don't you like having a podcast?
I'll answer this one.
Oh, yeah, we're drinking too.
Yeah, like if we don't want to, we don't have to. I forgot that was an option. But I feel like I think anybody who has a podcast or does social media can probably relate to this. But for the podcast specifically, I feel like I'm never done with an episode. It's just like you can always clip more. You can always be working on the next episode. There's always so much you can do with one episode, and I just feel like it's not ever done. Like I'm never satisfied with it. I'm like, I could have clipped 6 more clips out of that. I could have done, I don't know. So it's kind of like just a never ending cycle.
But I feel like that's a good thing about the break. It's going to give us time to reset, get those creative juices going again.
Agree.
For me, when I think about this, it's not that what I don't like, but I think something that gets frustrating sometimes for both of us is when we talk about a story or a topic and then like the podcast is coming out 3 days later, but the day after we record, there are serious details that change the story or change the narrative that come out, and we're like, fuck. Why didn't we know this yesterday? Or even it's worse, because I feel like this happens too. We get done recording, we get home, and I'm going to speak for both of us because I know we both do it. We scroll on TikTok for at least an hour before we go to bed.
Dude.
And find out all these new stories.
Well, that's why it's like doing once a week is great for a podcast, because you kind of can keep up with the information, but still, like you said, if you record 1 day prior and then something huge happens the next day, and the thing is, we do try to take whatever we talk about and like go off on a tangent about, like research something new about that topic that we can get into more, but it's like something so good. Like I remember this happened on the Patreon. Last week we were talking about like the fashion and the Cannes Film Festival, and something huge was with like the women, why they don't wear shoes there, and we had no idea about it until the day after we filmed it, and we were like, really? Like, why couldn't we have seen this the day before?
Right? That is one of like my biggest pet peeves. I don't know if pet peeve is the right word for it, but I get so frustrated. I also put in my notes, I overshare and forget people I know actually might listen to this, but that doesn't make me mad. It's fine.
Okay. I don't really totally believe you there, but okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
Next question. Question I. Is there an episode of the podcast that you regret? And if so, which one and why?
I'm going to take a drink.
So am I. Cheers.
Cheers.
Bing. Oh my gosh. I spilt my marg all over my laptop, but not like bad. It's fine.
Why is mine?
Because you keep drinking instead of telling stories.
No.
And I admitted my favorite part about this is talking.
I took a big, big sip right there.
Me too.
Woo.
Me too. All right. Moving on. What was the most surprising thing about having a podcast?
This is the one where I said, I think in general, though, the topics that we've talked about, I would have never expected to talk about.
Like, a lot of them.
Like random things about my fear of bees, fears that we have in general, like random
AI.
Yeah. Things that we talked about, the moon landing.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about the moon landing.
It's just really random stuff. I'm like, wow, I never would have thought I would talk about that. But also, I have to say the biggest one, TB, good old Tom Brady.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Exactly.
I think For me, I was surprised by the amount of illegal crimes that were reported directly to our anonymous Shady Story Collection documentation.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Box thing that we have. That was pretty surprising. But you know what also was kind of surprising? When people would come up to us in public, not that this happened a lot, but it happened at least like a couple times last summer where we'd be out to dinner with our boyfriends, well, you're now fiance, and they'd be like, hi, we listened to the podcast, like we're Halians, can we get a picture with y'all? Which like has happened to you when I'm around, but like the fact that they included me was really nice.
Honestly, yeah, we did have some like good experiences with that. Like we enjoyed it.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was. And it was also like always surprising to see who listens, I think.
Oh, yeah. That was the next question on here was, who was your most surprising podcast listener? Which
I'll take a drink. Yeah, I'll take a drink to that one.
We had some.
We had some surprising podcast listeners.
I will say, people come out of the woodworks when you're on a podcast.
True.
To talk to you and say, hey, I'm a listener.
Yeah, we won't elaborate. That's what the drinking's for.
Far enough. Far enough.
Fair enough. Far enough.
Okay. Next question. Technically, question L. What did you learn from starting a podcast?
I could go on forever.
I know.
Like everything from the setup to how to transfer files correctly.
Yeah, that was a big one.
That was a mess in the beginning. I think how to build a website, how to upload and honestly edit videos, edit clips. I'm not a pro, but like I actually know how to edit videos now, which is wild. I kind of had to just learn it as we did this. I don't know. You have to, honestly, there's so many little details that go into it that you don't think about that I just would have never expected to be like, oh, I needed to know that before.
Right.
And as we went along, like every week that, especially in the beginning, like things would go wrong. It was just like a new thing to learn every single week.
I would say for at least, maybe not the first 20 episodes, that's probably dramatic, but at least the first 15, we had something extremely wrong happen every single episode.
Yes.
For week after week after week. And we're like, what is going on? It's gotten easier since then, I would say.
Definitely now. It feels like just routine. But in the beginning, and honestly though, even with the merch drop, like learning how to do that and how to put designs on like online. Like I'm not a graphic designer, but I think I just graphic designed some stuff. So like,
hell yeah.
I don't know. You just kind of have to do all of these things. I mean, if you want to be involved in all of them, which like I wanted to, so I enjoyed it, but it was just way more than I thought. It was way more tedious than I thought. So I feel like I learned
for sure
a lot.
Because I feel like everyone online is like, oh yeah, I'm going to start a podcast. All you need is nothing. And you start a podcast.
Yeah, like you just need to talk. Yeah, talk into a mic. And it's different, I think, too, if you want to do like a video thing, that definitely adds a whole new layer of issues that you can run into. But
oh yes,
yeah, I think I liked it though. Like I like constantly learning stuff like that, so it was fun. But it was definitely like, holy shit, what did I get into here?
Yeah, it was a lot. But for me, I think the biggest thing I learned was how to come up with a good speaking of transition somehow.
Oh my god!
By the second half of like season 1, we were like, oh, and this transitions into this because this connects through here. Like, I felt like we were little theorists with like the little like lines.
How to connect the dots.
We could connect anything, which I think was fun.
I love listening though to like other people's podcasts and comparing our transitions to other people's, because a lot of times I think people just move on to the next subject, and it's very normal because that's what you do in a conversation.
Up next.
Yeah, but we really tried to come up with transitions that made sense. Speaking of this,
robots, have you ever heard of?
Yeah, it's just wild the things we came up with, but that was a good
I was impressed by the sheer amount of times we were able to do that, because I feel like it was more common that we could do it and make that transition than not, which is fun. All right, wait, where's the next question? What's most surprising? What did we learn? Oh, this is kind of fun. Have you ever received hate mail, and how did you handle it?
Yes. But I'll also take a drink because, like, I'm not going to get into, like, what it said or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't, because I'm perfect. So I guess I'll drink in solidarity with you.
Thank you. But this isn't my first rodeo. I've been on social media for a while, so.
Not me.
Definitely yes, but also I think the best thing that anybody could do in this situation, or honestly any situation in life, is just ignore it. Yeah. Nothing bothers those like people who troll people than ignoring it.
They want a reaction.
Yeah.
That's absolutely why they want it.
And honestly though, I think it got harder though with the podcast, because you have to, like, with all the social medias that I also run for the podcast, I'm constantly reading and replying to comments. So it's a lot harder to ignore, but I think it's like, that's just the best thing you can do in those situations.
You just got to take it with a grain of salt. They don't mean it. They're just haters. Haters gonna hate.
Exactly.
Potatoes gonna take. And has your podcast ever affected your relationships or friendships in a positive or negative way? How? I will genuinely drink to that.
I agree.
Cheers.
For sure. Cheers. Boom.
Yes, you're like halfway done with yours.
Isn't that the point?
Yes. All right. Next question. What is the most valuable lesson you've learned about podcasting since you've started?
I would say, again, I feel like this kind of applies to everything, but not everything you do is going to be like groundbreaking or amazing. And you can't compare it to everything else that's out there. Like, you're going to have some good weeks, you're going to have some bad weeks, and you just kind of keep improving as you go.
Yeah, my thought was very similar to that. Feel like in the beginning, we wanted to be perfect, and I would like go to sleep and not be able to stop thinking about like something
what you said.
Dumb I said or something that I mispronounced. And I would lie awake thinking about that, and it would stay with me until the next week that we filmed again. And I think I do a lot better now of just, whatever's out there is out there. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Well, I think I kind of said it the best when I made like a video, like when I was doing the merch, and I said it took us a year to figure out what to do for merch because I'm a raging perfectionist. And everybody was like, raging perfectionist, LMAO, like, and I'm like, no,
it's true,
actually. And I think even with that, like knowing what I just said and being like, oh, you're going to have good weeks, you're going to have bad weeks, you're going to have good episodes, I still do what you said and like, be like, oh my God, what did we say?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, it's like at the end of the day, not everything you say is going to be gold that comes out of your mouth.
It used to be, I feel like, anxiety times like 10.
Oh my God.
For me. But now it's just, it is what it is. You can only control what you control, and you can't control everything. Oh. But truth is also truth. I haven't said that in a long time. No, the control quote is a new thing that I said today at work, and I think it's going to stick. But, also my other thought was, I feel like we need raging perfectionist merch.
People were saying that as well, and I also agree because nothing describes us better.
Yes, I would love that. Next question. What is the most embarrassing mistake you've made during a podcast recording? This is pretty bad. I'm not going to drink because, again, perfection over here. Didn't make any mistakes, but
what do you mean? I literally forgot to hit record.
No, yeah, that was your mistake.
Yeah. I forgot to hit record on
a whole episode.
Camera on a whole episode.
And not like just like one of the, because if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see both of us. You can see close-up shots of each of us. I'm pretty sure it wasn't just like the close-up shots. It was like the whole frame.
No, I think it was the second, like the camera that has both of us in it.
Yes.
So the main one that we use, and I just didn't hit record, and we sat there for an hour talking, and then I was like, hey, we got to do that one more time, please.
I was not amused.
Yeah, that's the
mistake will never. I don't trust her to turn on the cameras anymore.
That's so true. Yeah,
you could turn them off sometimes, but for the most part, I feel like I turn them on now.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine. I'm over it.
Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. I've mentioned before how I often find myself caught up in the needs of everyone around me instead of focusing on my own needs. But as a firm believer that you can't help anyone if you don't help yourself, I know that life is really all about finding that balance. And boy, did I start realizing how important that balancing act can be in real time when I started planning a wedding. If you're like me and have a hard time with finding that balance, give BetterHelp a try. BetterHelp is entirely online, tailored to fit into your schedule. All you have to do is fill out a brief questionnaire and you'll be matched with a licensed therapist who can help give you the tools you need to find more balance in your life so you don't end up getting burnt out. That's why I love BetterHelp. You can learn how to support others without leaving yourself behind in the process. Therapy can empower you to set healthy boundaries for yourself and others so you can maintain positive relationships with everyone in your life and, most importantly, yourself. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/shady today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/shady. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode.
All right, next question. Which episode or topic received the most unexpected positive response from your audience?
I definitely had one that shocked me. It was the one where we saw a psychic in Salem, and we did an episode about it. And people were honestly so interested in that topic, and I was kind of shocked. Like, I mean, I know everyone's into that stuff kind of around Halloween or whatever, they get into it, and we went to Salem around that time, but yeah. I was just kind of surprised by the feedback that we got. Like, everybody really liked it.
People loved that, and I remember we were talking about it recently because we were so shocked by it, reflecting back on the situation. I'm like, we need to do more things like that. I don't know what. But
adventures to talk about. I agree.
We don't adventure as much as we should. And that was I know we were visiting Tracy, but that was such a fun, spontaneous trip with all of us. We need to do more of that in our life.
Also, I have a friend that does tarot readings, and she offered to come on.
Stop it right now.
When we come back for season 2, we can actually have a live tarot reading.
No, we need that. And hopefully mine's better than my last reading, because remember when
oh my gosh, yeah, you
remember how not bad my reading was, but how much I didn't want to associate with my reading. I was
you're just like, it's not true.
It's not true. It's not the reading that I'm going to accept for myself. And that's that.
Yeah, no, mine was good, but I love the idea of comparing the tarot reading to kind of what we got last time to see how accurate.
We should. Here's the thing. Time has passed. A significant time has passed since.
It'll be a year.
Our readings. No, even right now.
Oh, yeah.
Mine is still false.
That can happen.
Yeah, I guess. But you know what? We'll
bring it back, and it'll be like a live thing.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Season 2, let's go. All right, next question. Is there a topic you've always wanted to cover on your podcast but haven't had the chance to? And what is the topic?
I'm going to take a drink.
I probably will drink as well, because my only response right now is a joke, which isn't surprising. If I could talk about Disney more often, I would.
Woman.
What?
Woman.
I heard that in my ears, but I didn't see it. Apparently, that's not what the vibe we're going for here. So if you want to hear me talk more about Disney,
what?
I'll go do it on my own time.
On her stories.
On my stories. If you ever want to see some Disney content.
That's true. That's facts.
Look at my stories.
Or your TikTok.
Or my TikTok, because my TikTok is basically all Disney all the time.
I don't have anything against Disney. I have no children, so I have no reason personally to go.
It's crazy because I showed up I bring a change of clothes when we are going to film. And one time I showed up in one of my many, many Disney hoodies. And she looked at it and she said, "Is that what you're wearing today?"
Well, it's like a pajama like,
it's not a pajama
we do wear, first of all, like,
I'm in pajamas right now.
Half the time we are wearing pajamas, but usually that's your like sleep t-shirt. I'm sorry, but it is. And I think it's still in my closet for some reason. Is the one with the little Mickey Mouses? Yeah.
It is?
Which I wasn't ever going to tell you. I was just going to hope you just...
Okay, well, I'm going to need that back because clearly it's not in good hands right now.
It's in danger for sure.
Speaking of outfits, I wore the outfit that I wore on episode 1.
To end the season?
Yeah, I just thought it was a nice full circle moment.
That's very cute and full circle.
Thank you. Next question, second to last question. Have you ever had to deal with technical difficulties during a recording? Share the most frustrating experience. We've mentioned one, but...
Every week in the beginning. But honestly, something that I learned immediately, which was a huge technical difficulty. We were exporting the first episode, and this was at the time where also, instead of recording in the settings we're recording now, we were recording in like 4K, which you could shoot a Disney movie in. And so it was just way too long to transfer these files. But I waited and I checked that computer every hour.
Wild. This was
for 28
wild.
hours. And on the 28th hour, the send failed because I was using Safari internet browser. And supposedly, it's like a known thing that you're not supposed to try to transfer files on there.
I didn't know.
So yeah, don't use that to transfer files because I waited 28 hours and on the 28th hour, it failed.
You heard it here first.
That was one of our bigger fails.
I will drink for this one because I'm not sure if mine's an actual real technical fail, but it was kind of wild when all of the letters of our new signage were dropping on me throughout like our first episode on the set. I think almost every letter dropped on my head throughout filming.
Yeah, I would say that was like a physical fail.
It was a physical fail. However, I'm proud of us because we did power through. We powered through that experience and continued to film despite being attacked by the letters from our set. So I will drink.
Yeah, that was a fun learning curve as well. We've had a lot of issues, but I feel like we have been very good at hiding them until right now where we're exposing ourselves. But we had a lot of issues. In season 2, we're not going to do that.
Correct. And also, I feel like we could name this episode Exposing All Our Failures because we truly are. Which leads us to our final question. What are you looking forward to most for season 2?
Everything. I feel like we're going to come back strong. We're going to have great content ideas.
Yes.
More guests. Bring back some of our previous guests. Prepare better in advance for some episodes.
Maybe.
Probably not. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about the whole thing. I think it's going to be lots of good stuff on there.
It is. We have a lot of knowledge under our belts and better outfits to come. I feel like I repeated a lot of outfits. Your outfits are fine. My outfits, not so much.
What do you think? Like change the vibe?
No.
Not PJs?
I like our vibe. I like being able to wear pajamas to do the podcast. However, I just feel like, upon all of the reflection that I've done recently.
In the last hour?
In the last hour, because I've done so much of that. I was thinking about this TikTok I saw comparing Selling Sunset, their outfits from season 1 to season 6. And what an evolution that was. Wouldn't that be fun to take the audience on an evolution?
But they got more dressed up.
So maybe we get more dressed now.
Who's
to say where we go? Up. But we're going somewhere with the outfits. Maybe not. Could be the same exact. Who knows? Maybe for season 2, I'll wear the same exact outfits that I wore in season 1 for the same episode. That could be fun too. But you'll have to tune in to find out.
Love it. Well, that concludes our truth or drink game for recapping really most of what went on in season 1. And if you want to catch up, you can still watch all the videos, re-listen to the episodes, and I believe we're going to be pumping out some clips and continuing the conversations on our social medias, so we'll still see you guys there. And also, we couldn't end season 1 without some shady stories, so let's get into those. Starting with, this one is going to be like a shady story 1, and then I'll read another one because the first one's really short, but I just had to put it in there because I thought it was funny. Shady story number 1. My father caught my stepsister and I doing it, and that was the reason for my father's second divorce. Yeah, my father hates me.
I think my favorite part of this story, because it is so in-depth, so many details, is the cowboy hat emoji at the conclusion
I couldn't read
story.
that. I could not read that part.
Could not be read, but it is, in fact, here in the notes.
Yeah, that's a rough one.
I mean,
but it was short and to the point.
Yeah, that is shady. That is
a cause for divorce.
It is. That is something. I will give it to 7 out of 10.
Out of 12? Like, where are we going?
I don't know.
All right. Shady story 1.2.
Wait, what are you going to rate it?
I'm going to read.
Oh, are these the same story?
Oh, wait.
You're not going to rate the first story?
Oh, I apologize. I forgot. I was too caught up in yours. I said this is like a 8 out of 10.
Oh, fancy.
Okay. All right. Shady story 1.2. My best friend and I pulled a JWoww and Snooki moment. We have a friend group of 4 girls, but a certain girl, we will call her Becky, started coming around all the time. She definitely gave the vibe of not only I'm going to steal your man, but probably also your dad, brother, and you should hide your damn dog, honestly. But we all had a soft spot for her and thought maybe she just got hate for being beautiful and knowing it. 2 years went by with all of us being close. Then Becky relocated and I found out that she was hooking up with 2 out of 4 of our group's long-term boyfriends for the past 2 years. The girls were still posting with this girl saying how she'll be a bridesmaid, giving her hype, and I couldn't stomach it. They looked stupid. It turns out more people knew about it and we were obviously the last to know. So me and my bestie, the 2 out of 4 that she didn't screw our mans, not because she's a decent human, but because we didn't have any at the time, LOL, downloaded a texting app that you can't trace and texted our 2 girlfriends letting them know what Becky did. So when they came to me about it, it's the perfect opportunity for me to take Becky down. I don't have the receipts, but I knew who did. So when everyone was trying to figure out the truth, I went to the 3 dudes who had the proof because the boyfriends bragged about it to their friends through text. They sent my girlfriends exactly what they needed to see. Becky's blocked by the whole girl gang and completely blacklisted. The boys are mad at their friends for sending the receipts, and I just drink my wine with my pinky up because the girl gang will never take an L on my watch.
I want to be friends with whoever wrote this.
Same.
Because this is hands down, and I'm going to say it, the best written story of the season, because this is a fucking humorous story, if I've ever heard one. The fact that she said, you should hide your dog too.
It was hilarious.
And she referred to Becky moving as Becky relocating. That's humor. That's humor in my book.
I don't think that was supposed to be that funny, but
I thought it was funny.
My favorite part was comparing the situation to when JWoww and Snooki wrote the anonymous letter to tell Sam that Ron made out with the girl at the club. And then like Sam was going around trying to figure out who told. And they were like, it wasn't us. But they really wrote the letter. Like that was these two girls.
This girl is the epitome of a girl's girl. She wasn't going to stand for her friends looking stupid, which I respect. I also respect that she did this in a situation. She did this in a way in which, in the situation, nothing was really being tracked back to her. Like, no one really can pin this on her.
And she just sat back and drank her wine with her pinky up.
And that's something that I would do. So, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I love this one. 10 out of 10 for me.
Congratulations. Let's hear more stories from you specifically, whoever you may be. You can write anything. It doesn't have to be shady, and it could be an illegal crime, and we'll probably read it because that was funny. Shady story number 2. When I was 4 and my sister was 6, we both got bit by a squirrel while we were sleeping. Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I thought this one was actually so funny.
No, I'm already laughing.
I just feel like, what are the odds, man? I don't know. Just keep going.
When I was 4 and my sister was 6, we both... How do they know? We both got bit by a squirrel while sleeping. There was a family of squirrels living in our attic, and they bit me twice in the face once. Did you write this? And once in the arm. My sister was bit twice on the arm.
No, because I'm actually crying too now.
See, this is so bad. I'm so sorry. No one's going to be able to listen to this. We have to cut it all. Why would you have me drink a fucking mark before reading this story? My sister was bit twice in the arm. For the next week.
We're going to seriously have to cut it because
sorry,
it's ridiculous.
Echo. We had to get rabies shots. Every night. Why was it at night?
You have to.
I can't even see the story through my tears.
Okay.
The needles were huge. I still have a vague memory of waking up in the middle of the night and noticing something was off. I seriously can't see. Okay. Something was off. Anyways, I'm 19 now, and almost everyone I know knows this story too. I had the nickname at school called rabies for about 3 years. And shady story number 2 is officially 100 out of 10. I don't know why that was so hard to get through.
There's a tear coming down your eye right now.
I'm so sorry. That was probably over half the episode.
Are you crying from this story or what? You look like you're actually going through something right now.
Guys, I cried. I cry a lot.
I would have thought that you actually wrote this story.
I thought you wrote this story just to get me to say something so ridiculous. It's really quite funny. But
this is 100 out of 10 for me.
Same. I don't know how much of the story you actually got to hear because I feel like Echo probably had to clip a lot of it out. But that was great. Thank you for that. This has been
that was good.
Great round of shady stories.
I'm really glad that this is how we're
going out. Are my lashes coming off?
No. No, you have a little. It's okay. Just a little.
We're going to figure it out later.
Okay. Now I have
One
to not
more,
laugh.
guys.
All right. Shady story number 3. My ex and I had been dating for 3 years, and in the beginning, our relationship was great. However, as time went on, his true nature began to reveal itself. He's a narcissist who always put himself first and sought constant validation from others. The cracks in our relationship started to show, and we began arguing more and more frequently. The fights always seemed to center around his old boss and the gut feeling I had that he had feelings for her. Despite my suspicions, he denied any romantic involvement with her. One day when I was in England with my mom, who was undergoing surgery, Unbeknownst to me, he moved out while carrying on conversations with me as nothing was amiss. As I was getting ready to get on the plane to go back home, I received a text message from him informing me that my vehicle was parked at the airport, and then he proceeded to ghost me. I got home to find out that he had moved out. Not a word since. A couple weeks passed, and I heard that he was now in a relationship with none other than his old boss. Turns out she had recently divorced her husband the month before. To say I was feeling a mix of anger, hurt, and betrayal would be an understatement. Exactly 1 year after he moved out, he was marrying his old boss. I decided to get in touch with her ex-husband, and he was willing to meet up with me. He was scheduled to bring his 2-year-old son, whom he shared custody with his ex-wife with, to the rehearsal dinner to drop him off. We thought it was a perfect opportunity to shake things up. Together, her ex-husband and I arrived at the rehearsal dinner hand in hand, trying to be overly affectionate with each other. As we made our way into the venue, we caught sight of the two of them. The shock and disbelief on their face was priceless, and it was a moment that made all the tears I had shed worth it. Fast forward 4 years, my ex had left his old boss and new wife, whom he had a child with, and she was 8 months pregnant with another. Not gonna lie, I was a little happy karma had finally tracked them down.
This was a classic, tried and true shady story.
Playa.
Playa. And if this story did not follow the squirrel story,
it would have been
a 10 out of 10.
A 10 out of 10.
However,
it's
not people getting bit by squirrels in their sleep.
You just can't compete with that.
It's just doesn't provide the sort of humor that
honestly though, this is kind of messed up.
It is very messed up. And I do approve of every action that you took following his ghosting.
Agreed. I think it was brilliant to walk in with the ex.
I think there's nothing better you could have done. And I applaud you. I stand with you. And I give you a 9 out of 10. And if it would not have followed the squirrel story, it would have been a 10 out of 10. So take that with you for what it will.
Close enough.
Whatever that saying is.
I agree with that. But that concludes this episode, the final episode of season 1. Again, we are so thankful for everybody who has been with us from the beginning. And even if you're new here, we appreciate you too. And we will see you in the next season. We can't wait. And yeah, that concludes this season.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.